signing him to a one-year deal. And we're pleased to be joined by Harrison Bader, who joins us now here on MLB Tonight. Harrison, thanks for the time, man. Congratulations on the new deal with the Mets. You're obviously a New York City kid. Where did the Mets rank on your fandom growing up as a kid in this area?
I appreciate that, Flo. Thank you. Great to see you, brother. Yeah, exactly half my family is extremely excited about this upcoming season. But no, listen, I've always been a fan of New York. I've always been a fan of New York sports, and I'm just extremely excited to be able to stay in the city that I love, and I'm looking forward to an incredible season coming up. It's just a great opportunity for me, so I'm extremely thankful.
Harry, what's up, man? It's Case. Good to see you, brother.
Hey, Case, what's up, baby? How we doing?
Doing great, dude. You're looking good, man. I'm glad you're back here in New York, man. And we were together last year with the Yankees, and thanks for that time, man. I enjoyed our time together. But you were grinding a little bit, man. You were grinding with that a little bit of an oblique, and knowing you're one of the toughest dudes I've probably ever been around. So I know you didn't say anything to anybody. How are you feeling now? Do you feel healthy coming into 2024?
Yeah, I feel great. Case, you look good too, brother.
Thank you.
Listen, when I think about last year, the first word that comes to mind is challenging. It wasn't a bad year. It wasn't a negative year. It was challenging because, like you mentioned, it's hard to have success at that level when you're kind of dealing with some injuries. Working through those, I think, will help me moving forward. And, with regards to how I feel now, I feel great. I had a really good team behind the scenes that got me ready. I'm down in Tampa right now, getting after it. There's a lot of familiar faces that I'm working with and I'm working around. And listen, I think it comes down to preparation. Mental preparation while you're good, but physical preparation is extremely important. So everything is where it needs to be. The body's moving great. I feel fantastic. And again, I'm just looking forward to applying that that excitement that I play with and see how it all shakes out.
Bader, what's up, man? Anthony Recker, great to talk to you. Obviously, look, you mentioned the physical preparation. You're known as a defensive center fielder, really good center fielder, right? But what are you trying to do to change that narrative? Because, we've all been, as baseball players, I'm sure, pigeonholed at times with a label. You don't want to be known as a one-trick pony. You want to be an all-around, great baseball player. So what are you trying to do right now, and what are you doing in the offseason to try to change that label so you can be known as just a great baseball player, not just a great center fielder? Yeah,
absolutely. First and foremost, I don't want to change the narrative of being a really good defensive center fielder. That's something I absolutely want to keep in my game, keep in, who I am and my identity as an athlete, and just simply add to the offensive capability to just more consistency. And I do believe that putting myself in a position where my workouts where they need to be, my recoveries where it needs to be, will allow me to kind of tap into my offensive capabilities, which I've shown in spurts in this league, but not nearly what I wanted to tap into. I think it's important to just have a plan of attack day in and day out, and take everything one game at a time and kind of bite off and digest, bite-sized pieces of how I want my 2024 to look like. But, I know with absolute certainty that if everything is where it needs to be behind the scenes, the workouts are there, the attention to detail, the focus in the cage is there, the plan of attack for the day is there. I know the results are going to come through because I felt them before. I just simply need to be more consistent about them. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody besides myself. I have another, fabulous opportunity to be in New York with an organization that, invested in me and invested in my talent. And I'm just looking forward to making them proud and working as hard as I can to fulfill, what they expect of me and the standards I set out for myself. So, again, it's just a really exciting opportunity. I can't wait to dive into it with my new teammates.
Harry, I think you're going to have a huge year this year, man. No doubt about it on both sides of the ball. You're going there to New York with a couple familiar faces. You got obviously Pete Alonso, who you played down there with the Florida Gators. I think you called yourselves the Diesel Brothers or something like that. I was looking at it. And also Carlos Mendoza, man. You were with him a couple years there in New York, so you got to know him. Talk about that a little bit and what it's going to be like for you being with some familiar faces.
Yeah, absolutely, Case. Having some familiarity is really important in this game, especially in those early days of spring training. Obviously, listen, we all want to win, and we're not necessarily here to just simply make friends. We got to go out there with a plan of attack, but having those faces, like you mentioned, are extremely important to me. I think I'm already locker mates with Pete. in spring training and for the season. That's my guy. And for Florida fans, throw it back. We absolutely were the Diesel brothers back then. I think we kind of coined that just because we hit back to back, and that having that energy in the lineup, having that energy every day. Obviously, he runs out there, he plays the game every day. It's just something I'm going to latch onto. His approach, his energy, his focus, how calm and poised he is. Listen, these are all things I admire tremendously. I've had the opportunity to play with some big time first basemen, and he's reminiscent of all of them. So I'm extremely excited. And you kind of move it forward to Mendy. That's a dude who's just a baseball guy. I told him when he got switched over to the Mets that I was extremely excited for him because, it's about time he has his own team. And I'm just extremely excited that he got the opportunity to do so. You were obviously around him. Just great energy, good smile, good grit when things aren't going our way, which is always going to happen in a baseball season. I think he's the perfect candidate to lead, this team into to really successful days this upcoming season.
Harrison, we'll get you out of here on this one. What did the team tell you about what your role, what they envision for what your role would be in this season, is from a lineup perspective, from a center field perspective? How did they give you any indication of how you might fit into that lineup moving forward?
Yeah, listen, I think regardless of if you're guaranteed the entire world or, guaranteed maybe just a slice of it, you got to show up every day with one intention. And that's first and foremost to be the best version of yourself on that field, to be successful for yourself and for your teammates. And, I have every intention of going out there and playing as hard as I can to help this team win. I know it's in there, and my work ethic will allow me to create those opportunities for myself. And again, I'm just taking it day by day. And, I know from my perspective, there's a baseball game going on. I want to be plugged in there. I want to help the team win. And I want to do some really cool stuff on all sides of the baseball. And I'm just going to keep focused on that. And I'm going to let that process take care of itself. And, I know it's going to result in myself helping this team win, which is my singular focus. So, again, we'll take it day by day, and I'm excited to go out there and get reps and, start the show.
Harrison, congratulations on your new deal. Can't wait to see you in Mets colors in 2024, and we appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Likewise, guys. Happy New Year's, and looking forward to seeing you all down the road.